You don't need to be an all-rounder. You can be an all-rounder for your bachelor's degree, but for your master's degree, you need to have a peak. Else, you aren't going to get selected for your course. Especially like in MITs and all that, you need to be damn good at that one particular thing that you want to do.
So very quickly, if you could sum up the entire journey from your bachelor's to your master's. So how is that like?
Yeah, so I pursued my bachelor's from NIT Surat, and that was from 2015 to 2019, and it was my bachelor's in computer engineering itself, where I actually learned all different sorts of operating systems, fundamental algorithms, and everything. And in college, in my second year, towards the end, I came across machine learning in the ACM club that we had at the college, and that's when I started understanding about machine learning, learning knowing about the different Coursera, Andrew NG course, and all those things. And that's when I slowly started developing more interest and started moving more towards that field and started concentrating on looking about NLP, machine learning projects and everything. And in like third year, we had an internship where I'd interned in a startup as a machine learning intern itself over there. And that's when I got a much better exposure into how the field actually works, how is it different from theoretical and the knowledge. And then from there, again in the final year, I got into a company where I worked on in machine learning as well. So that was Ugam Analytics, and I was placed in Mumbai at that point. And over there, as a part of the Jarvis team, where we actually built intelligence systems for the clients. And over there, what happened was at one point, I ended up thinking that we are able to say import APIs and import these algorithms, but we don't have much control over the algorithms. Like example, like designing an algorithm for your use case as such. And that's when I felt a gap between what I had learned, because I knew what's out there in the market, but that creativity to build up algorithms, to have the control over making algorithms, was something which I thought I felt I needed more. And at that point, I knew that doing a normal bachelor's degree isn't just going to get me that straight away. It didn't get me that. It just got me to a point where I could apply these algorithms and understand them. And industry itself, I knew at that point I wouldn't be able to make a better impact, because I would be able to apply these same algorithms for my customers. But for me to learn furthermore, to be able to make an idea or be able to make an algorithm like this, I need to pursue a master's where I can specialize in machine learning and natural language processing. So that's when I had a strong thing of studying, machine learning with a proper concentration, understanding how these things are built up from scratch, what was the thinking of these professors or these people on how they made these algorithms. And I knew masters was the only way for me to move forward. There was a PhD option, but I first thought, let me just consider a master's degree. Let's see how that goes about, because I had a liking towards doing research in the industry field, as well as applying the engineering, the sciences as well as the engineering side. So that's how I moved towards doing a master's degree.
Do we have any such courses available in India as well? If yes, how are they different from the ones in the US?
Courses in terms of universities, currently Triple IT Hyderabad and IITs have, but the way it's established over here is much more different. I felt like over here, I literally interacted with professors who actually made these algorithms. Like we have Jan LeCun, we have Professor Cho, who have actually made some of these algorithms. And like I just took a course right now called Natural Language Understanding, and the professor actually had made some of the algorithms that I had previously used. So there's already a base over here that where people actually know how to go move forward with the research over here. And the research scope is much more wide over here, I felt, because I had interacted with the PhD students as well over here, and their level of thinking and the way you can interact with them and talk to them about your ideas was much more open. Whereas in India, I think it's just starting, that wave has started like 2-3 years back and it's still building up. Whereas over here, people have started working on these algorithms, I feel, a bit like from 2012, 2013 itself. From that time,
I would now want to understand how challenging was the application process, or how challenging was it to get into NYU in the first place?
The most challenging thing, according to me, first of all, was there are actually two challenging things. One was the university selection, and the other one was with respect to the SOP itself. So when you go with university selection, what I thought was I'm not just going to take any course after going there. I need to make sure the courses that I want, and I had to be clear about what my entire stream and the way I want. Because what I found in the US itself is you don't need to be an all-rounder. You can be an all-rounder for your bachelor's degree, but for your master's degree, you need to have a peak. Else you aren't going to get selected for your course. Especially like in MITs and all that, you need to be damn good at that one particular thing that you want to do in. So that's the reason why I selected universities which were actually aligning with what sort of aspirations I had itself. And the other one was SOP, where I needed to make sure my SOP was straight to the point, what I wanted, how I wanted, how is this college actually going to help me, and how is this course is going to actually help me move forward. So that for that I had to research a lot about the college, about the courses. In the courses, what were some of the things that I knew I was having a gap, and how the course will help me bridge it, as well as the fact that how the professors were, and whether you could actually take up an RA or a TA or something under the professor and maybe work on with them.
So I want to understand from you, now that you have been through a spring intake, what are the things that you feel you have missed out on that you could have got in a fall intake but didn't get this time?
With respect to the fall intake, I would say currently I didn't miss out anything as such, because one thing is the spring intake has much wider range of courses compared to the fall intake. So in NYU, at least I've seen that, like really interesting courses, I could see it in spring intake compared to the fall intake. So that's an advantage. The other reason is that you would actually be at a risk in the sense that you're on you'll have to get your CPT, which means you have to be 9 months into your college on the US soil. And so if you come in the spring semester to the US, the 3 months that you go in, you're not going to get an industrial internship as such. You'll have to do like a research intern or a prof, or maybe take up another course or something. And that would bring you to a stage where you already are done with 1 year of your semester, say for example, and you have just your spring semester, you have your the next spring break, the next semester's summer break, where you have to maybe get an internship, and then you only have 6 months till you get a full-time job if you come for a spring, if you think of it that way. So that becomes kind of a tedious situation where mentally it might be like you only have 6 months, whereas in terms of fall you actually have an entire year in hand as such to search for your job, where full-time is like your goal and you need to work on for it. So yeah, that's a risk like people need to take, and I think I had taken it in 2 ways. So when I taken up my courses, I took 2 courses rather than 3 courses during my spring, and I was actually in Abu Dhabi itself that time. I mean, I didn't have to come to the US. So I took up 2 courses such that if I get an internship, I can redeem it for my credits at NYU. And that's actually a compulsion, because we won't get a CPT otherwise. So that gave me an option and a leverage where, okay, if I didn't get an internship, I can still continue for another semester in the spring 23. Else, if I get an internship, I can graduate in December itself. So I had taken up the courses that way, where I would say I didn't feel I was at a disadvantage, because for me, industry or research internship in college were equally good enough. Like for me, both of them worked. Yeah.
I want to then get into understanding, what were your scores like? If you could share the scores with us in terms of your GPA, your GRE.
So for my GRE score, I got a quant score of 163, and for my verbal, I got a 151. And with my GPA in college, I had a 3.614 GPA at that point. And I didn't give further more attempts because I'd seen the way cutoffs work and SOPs work. So I had applied to like colleges like Columbia, NYU, Bloomington. So all of the initial cutoffs were more for quant, and I was able to satisfy the quant related cutoffs and the verbal as well. And after that, it's just your SOP and the way you write and the way you show your eagerness to join, why you're joining the college. Luckily, I was able to. I mean, I'm not going to boast about it, but I'm just telling it in a sense where actually people can get that ray of hope in the sense that I was able to even get into Columbia with the scores that I had, and NYU as well. So I would say it was more like you just need to get the initial cutoff. After that, it's all about your SOP, the way you write. But there are some universities that look highly into GPA, like USC, it's a lot GPA focused rather than GRE focused as well. And there are some colleges like in CMU, there are some specific courses that are focused a lot on the GRE rather than the SOP that much at one point. Yeah.
While you were deciding between Columbia and NYU, which were the 2-3 factors that you considered that helped you make that choice of choosing NYU over Columbia?
Yeah, so that was a really tough decision as such that I had to take at that point. And the two conditions, first was I was into natural language processing in the domain of artificial intelligence. And I talked to a senior of mine who was from Columbia. And like he had told me, and he had compared and told me that NYU had a better research in terms of NLP compared to Columbia. And the other thing was in Columbia, I had to take 4 courses that were there, and in NYU I had to take 3 courses. So the 3 courses gave me a leverage to, actually explore different scenarios and different options in college itself. Give me more time to explore many different things and even look out for intern, because once you're in college, you have to manage your studies, you have to manage internships, you might have to manage maybe grading, you'll have to maybe, even if you want for your own exploration, you have to look into research and all that with professors. So if it was 4 courses, I knew it would be a big sort of a load for me. And the thing with Columbia was also the fact that I got waitlisted for fall 2020, and then they gave me an admit for spring. And that's when I realized that I wouldn't get a chance to intern as such for any summer. So that was another factor that allowed me to move forward with NYU. And the other thing with NYU was one of the godfathers of deep learning, that is Yann LeCun, and Professor Cho and Professor Bowman. They all were in NYU. So like by default, I had a liking towards NYU that way. And plus, some of the courses in NYU were really good because they were a lot even sciences oriented compared to a lot of engineering oriented. So if you talk about machine learning, it's not just how an algorithm works. They actually go to the basics of the mathematics. So it's mathematical and it's really heavy. So that was also another aspect that I had seen, which was I felt a bit more oriented towards NYU than Columbia.
Before we conclude this call, within a minute, I would want to understand from you if there is someone similar to Rishit Dholakia who is watching this video from India. In your case, you were definitely very clear that in order to get more in depth in this field, you had to do a master's from the US. But someone could be still in a dilemma to either continue from India or to go abroad and experience all the opportunities that you are experiencing right now. So what is that one advice that Rishit would like to give to all these potential viewers who are still in a dilemma?
Yeah, my advice would be initially, as in when you're doing a bachelor's, if you can just try to see which field you like, start moving towards it, and then see an opportunity. Whether if it's engineering, it's like software engineering as such as a whole. India is also damn good. Is very good actually, because you have Amazon, I have seen people, my friends itself, who have gone to SD2, SD3. So software engineering is damn good that way. So you don't have to worry about it, and you can look over there. But if you feel that there's a gap between your knowledge and where you want to pursue like much more in terms of another specific field, then think about masters. But be clear about masters and just don't go by the herd mentality. That's one thing. Like everyone went like, what data science, machine learning is the thing. Let's all get into it. But I personally knew why I wanted machine learning, and in machine learning also why NLP and why not another field. So that's also an important thing to keep in mind. And there will be people who tell what, it's difficult to get with this code, it's difficult to get with that sort of an SOP. But you know what, the more you keep on working hard on yourself, and the more you're clear towards your goal, and the more you know what you want to do for the next 2-3 years in your life, that will actually give you a name whether you want to do a master's or not. So master's is really good in terms of learning, I would say. Like I learned a lot with the courses I had this semester especially. And I could see the difference in the teaching in India and over here a bit.